also put the record button. Yeah. So I was saying claim should have three parts: preamble, transition, and body. Preamble is name of the name or introductory objective of that machine or of that invention. And then a transition consists of three words, either of the three words, comprising of is open-ended. That means if you are saying comprising of part 1, part 2, part 3, there can be part 4, part 5 also into it. It is a little bit open-ended. Tomorrow you can add something else also. People can't say that it is a different invention. Then consisting of, if you use a word consisting of in the claim language, that means it is close-ended. That means only those three parts: part 1, part 2, part 3. Preamble, see for example, a teapot comprising of handle, container, handle, and sprouts. That's all. No, nothing else. If tomorrow somebody comes up with a lid, that becomes a new invention, completely new invention, because you have used consisting of. If you have been using comprising of, then if a lid comes in, then it is also included, and it is an infringement. That's how it will be. The use of words comprising and consisting of, I hope you understood. And then there is what is called consisting essentially of. Consisting essentially of is essentially these are the 1, 2, 3 products are required, but there might be some non-essential products, 4, 5, 6. Essentially 1, 2, 3 are important. Those 3 components makes my invention, but non-essentially there can be 4, 5, 6. So it is bit open-ended and bit close-ended. That's the reason it is called consisting essentially of. So these are the 3 parts that require in a claim: preamble, transition, and body. And then what is that you need to look in while drafting a claim is, each element, there are 4 golden rules I've explained: as antecedent basis, structural connection, functional expression, no negative limitation. If are these 4 rules followed in the claim what you have written, that you need to check. Whether whenever you have introduced an element first time, you are putting a or an, one, at least one, or plural like that. There are some terminologies which you will use first time when you are using a element or a part of that claim, part of that machine which you are claiming. Then second time same element comes, you use the or said, based on the grammatic rules. First time er and second time the or said you will use. That is antecedent basis. And then each part, what it is, how it is constructed, what purpose it is being used. Suppose you are saying a door. What is the purpose of the door? Prefabricated bathroom, there is a door. Door for closing, opening and closing, for entry and exit into the room, a door is necessary. So that door details you need to provide, what it is, and then how it is connected to the other parts of that machine. That structural connection you need to give, and functional expression you need to add up. And when you are doing all this, yesterday's presentation, what I did is I explained you to keep in mind the first examination report that examiner will give for drafting your claim. If you have drafted a well claim, he'll directly grant a patent to you. If you have loosely drafted it, he'll get back to you and ask for objection. He'll raise an objection, so ask for your clarification. So to avoid objections, to avoid FER, you need to draft a claim in such a way that novelty and non-obviousness will not have an effect on that. If you say that something already existing products in the claim, if you narrate something already existing in the claim, then the examiner will refuse it. If you see that example of bullock cart and car that I have given in claim drafting session. So bullock cart will also have 4 wheels. Car will also have 4 wheels. Bullock cart is also covered by a metal sheet. Car will also is covered by metal sheet. So how different, if you write that broadly, bullock cart will become prior art, and your claim will be refused because there is prior art existing. Now, if you go on very specific, saying that it is yellow color car, a motor car and all, then somebody will come up with something else which is not falling into that specifics. He'll come up with red car. Instead of yellow car, he'll come up with red car and say, your claim is yellow car, mine is red car. Your invention is only yellow car. So I am not infringing your patent, is what he'll say. So you need to balance it. You need to draft a claim in such a way that it will not hit by prior art, and it will also make sure that maximum of your competitors will not overcome this claim, and they'll come to you for licensing fee. So this is how you need to draft. If you keep this in mind, and what I recommend you is, most of you have challenge with English language. That is what I felt most among you. So as long as you feel that if your mother tongue gets influencing your thing, your writing skills, then it will be difficult for you. You need to overcome this situation. You need to say that I am good at English. Whatever it might be, whatever you write, you should say yourself that I am good at it. I have explained it well. So only then, only when you have self-confidence in yourself, then you will be able to write a better claim. So make sure that you go on watching. See, I shouldn't say this. This is your English teacher should say this. You go on watching English movies. You go on reading English newspaper. You increase your vocabulary. What you need to do is, whenever you come up with a different new word, you need to try to understand the meaning of it and try to apply it in your routine, in your daily routine. How can you use that word when you are talking to your friends, your colleagues, or maybe if your friends and colleagues around you are not speaking English, what you need to do is, that new word, you write 10 sentences with using that new word. How can you frame sentence with that new word is what you need to do. Every day, it is daily practice. It is not one day job. Like a child learns language, when a child born and when he tries to speak to you, it is not one day or 2 days. The moment he born, he'll not speak, right? It'll take time, 5 years, 6 years. So like that, 5 years, 6 years will time will be taken to you to come up with English language. You need to do that. And nobody, I would say that the perfect of the perfect English teachers will also commit mistakes in English language. So nobody is perfect in this world. Everybody is imperfect. So don't assume that if I write something and people make mistakes out of it. I'll tell you, yesterday have shown Deepika how to go through USPTO pair, and there even words like at least somebody has combined it. Yesterday I have shown to Deepika. Somebody has combined at least as a single word. Then the US Patent Office has commented you should use space between at and least. That is a basic English. That is not necessary to a patent examiner to report you, right? So what happens is you write some claims and you submit it. Patent Office comes back to you and says that it should not be like that. You should not be offended and you should not feel guilty about it. You should always learn from it and make sure that you have practiced this language and art of drafting claims. If this is okay, can I move on reading the sections?
Yeah, sir, just 2-3 points.
Yeah.
Sir, is it advisable to always use an open-ended transition phase?
Yeah, always it is better to have a broader scope of your claim. See what happens when you use open-ended transition comprising. Tomorrow, even if you suppose your product is XYZ, and tomorrow somebody adds up ABC to it, he'll say that if you have used consisting and XYZ you have used, and if he adds up ABC, and he'll say that this is a different product. This is already completely different. Your product has only XYZ, but my product has XYZ ABC, completely new product. Because you have used consisting, you have limited your claim only to elements XYZ. If XYZ alone is there, then it is infringement. Otherwise, it is not infringement. So for that purpose, if you can go through my PPT on infringement also, literal infringement, non-literal infringement is there. So there also, only when XYZ is there, then it is literal infringement. If it is something else is added, then it is not literal infringement. So the infringer might escape if you use consisting of. If you use comprising of, yes, even if he adds ABC, you said XYZ comprising XYZ, but comprising is open-ended, it can add ABC also to it. That's the reason it is always suggested, always recommended, use comprising than consisting. If you are very sure that no other parts are required for that machine, for that claim, for the process or for that product, no other separate parts are required. If separate part is added, it becomes a different machine. Then if you are very sure about it, use consisting. Otherwise, comprising is the best word.
Sir, in so many patent claims also they have mentioned
Characterized by,
Yes.
yes. Characterized by is adding additional feature. If you want to add an additional feature, then you use the word characterized by. Let me check if I have given you this PPT. Characterized by, wherein such that are the words which are used to add additional feature of that product. Did I explain about that paper, this thing? Claims, when I'm teaching claims, did I explain paper clip and top sheet? Just check if I can explain you right away.
Sir, and where to pick claims, sir, when we are drafting, like we have been given a specification and we need to pick claims and we need to draft a claim. So we'll generally go for the detailed description of the thing, or the summary, like summary of the invention gives what led this invention. So I just wanted to ask, like claims can we pick up from the detailed description, like it gives more like that, or
generally what is recommended is you should draft claims first and then draft detailed description and summary of invention. However, if given this thing, like in exam, patent agent exam, they'll give the specification and ask you to draft claims. So I would recommend go to detailed description. Only summary of invention is not enough. Summary of invention will provide you a brief outline. The objectives you will get under summary of invention, but detailed description will give you the complete.
the broad claim.
Yes.
The broad claim which. Okay. Sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me open this PPT and share it to you. I think it is still opening. Yeah. You come this side, didn't I share this PPT with you? Are you able to see the PPT now? For claims, did I share this PPT with you? Rita and Sharath? Suryakala?
No, sir.
No, this is not the one, right?
No, sir.
I'll share this again. So these are the words which you use generally for transition: comprising, which comprises, including, containing, characterized by. All of them are broadest open-ended. Consisting of, which consists of, is narrowest and close-ended. Consisting essentially of, which consisting essentially of, is intermediate in scope, that is neither open-ended nor close-ended. Then the body elements, I want to show you one specific question Deepika asked. I'll show that. This and all you already learned. Yeah. So numerals you are seeing, right? You have already kept for prefabricated this thing. Okay. See, this particular thing, one second. Yeah, wherein, whereby, such that, to further define a structure or provide a function associated with a given structure. So for that purpose, you use wherein, whereby, such that are characterized. All those things you'll use for these things. An apparatus comprising a plurality of printed pages, a binding configured to hold printed pages together, and a cover attached to the binding. Till that it is okay. Then this cover attached to the binding, generally on the top of it, of a binding, if you are having a bundle of papers, printed papers, bundle of papers that has binded, and on the top of it there is a cover. This cover attached to the binding, it is attached to the binding, wherein the cover is detachable from the binding. That means the cover can be, cover is generally attached, but it can be also detachable. So there you are using wherein, whereby, such that, are characterized in. For example, here.
Sir, this independent claim, first one, wherein this is detachable, that we can add in dependent claim also, no?
We can add. If you want to
Yes.
have it in the same claim, you can use characterized by or wherein or such that, all that you can use it. However, you are liberal, you have option to write in the dependent claim as well.
Okay.
Because
Right?
it's not the main feature of the thing, so we can add it in the dependent.
Absolutely, that's
Is
what
it?
I'm saying.
Yeah.
You can either put it in the same claim, or you can add it in a dependent claim, saying as claimed in claim 1, cover can be detached.
Okay.
See, what you need to do is you need to try as broad as possible. You should cover everything in first claim itself. If that is not possible, if you feel that, if see, detachable binding thing, if you add up in the first claim itself, then you're narrowing down the claim. See, if you keep it only to the black portion and not add that red portion, if some prior art is existing, there is a book binder, plurality of printed pages, binding and cover is already existing, then you won't get, this claim will be cancelled, right? It is not an invention. Wherein the cover is detachable from the binding, that is the novelty, that is the novel portion what you are adding. So to get the claim 1 granted, this need to be added in claim 1 itself, instead of making it in claim dependent claim. So that's how you need to work on. Is it fine?
Okay, yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, any other questions you have?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, let's go ahead with the Patent Act. Let me share the screen. So we have done till surrender and invocation. We have done 67 register of patents and particulars to be entered. It is just to say that the patent controller should keep a register, something like earlier it was a physical register, now it is electronic register they have made it. So that register need to be kept and that need to be accessed by people. I'll read the section. Register of the patent and particular to be entered. There shall be kept a patent office. There shall be kept at the patent office a register of patent, wherein shall be entered the names and address of the grantee of the patents, notification of assignments, extensions and revocations of patents, and particulars of other matters affecting the validity and proprietorship of the patent as may be prescribed. See, this is the function of registrar. Suppose your property is being registered. Who is the owner of that property? How do you get to know? When you verify the register, right? You go to sub-register office and ask who is the owner of this property, he'll give you encumbrance certificate. That encumbrance certificate will have all the details: who is the owner, name and address of the owner, from whom, link documents, all that will come in, right? Similarly, for patents being intangible asset, patents also need to be maintained in a register, and that register has to be kept under section 67, and the controller has to keep the name and address of the grantee of the patents, then further assignments, extensions, revocations, what happened to that patent, and whether it is valid, who is the valid proprietor, everything need to be kept under the register. No notice of any trust, whether express, implied or constituted, shall be entered in the register, and the controller shall not affect by any such notice. So there can't be any trust that will be created in the patent, unlike the physical properties. The individuals will create trust in the assets, so that will not be allowed under section 672. Subject to the superintendence and directions of the controller, the register shall be kept under the control and management of the controller. Controller in sense here, the controller of patents. Under his supervision, it will be. Notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1, it shall be lawful for a controller to keep the register of patent or any part thereof in a computer floppy, diskette, or any other electronic form, subject to such safeguards as may be prescribed. So those register, he can maintain it electronically, is what 67(4) says. Notwithstanding anything contained in Indian Evidence Act, a copy of extract from the register of patents certified to be true copy under the hands of controller and other officers duly authorized by controller in his behalf shall in all legal proceedings be admissible evidence. For getting an evidence, who is owner, when it goes to the court, and court there is a dispute, I am the owner, if somebody says that, that need to be proved by getting a certified copy under section 67(5). In the event register is kept wholly or partly in computer floppy, diskettes or any other electronic form, a reference in this act to any entry in the register shall be deemed to include reference to such recorded particulars kept in computer floppy, diskette or any other electronic form. So what section 67(6) says is, however you make a record in the manual this thing, the same thing will be done in computer floppy diskette also. Earlier, we used to get this certified copies with seal of the controller and national emblem seal with a red color ribbon and all. But now, the Indian Patent Office has discarded providing certified copies of specification and other records from the Patent Office in a certificate format. What they are doing is, instead, they are giving a DAS code. DAS code is Digital Asset Management Code, wherein even unpublished documents, like only published documents, see, if a patent is published, it is open for everybody to go into the Patent Office website and dig out all documents pertaining to that patent. But however, sometimes it is a provisional application. For provisional application, it will be kept secret. Only the applicant and Patent Office will have access to it. And whenever somebody asks for a certified copy under section 67(4) or 67(5), they used to provide a copy of it under seal of the patent controller. But now what they are doing is, instead of giving a copy, they are providing a DAS code. DAS code is a small encryption code, wherein using that code, the document will be accessed by the whoever it might be. It might be a judge, it might be a foreign patent office to give priority to you. All that will be given under DAS code. Hope register of patents is clear to you.
Yes, sir.
We'll go with section 68. Section 68 talks about assignments, etc., not to be valid unless in writing and duly executed. If assignment is there, if you say that I got a patent, there is an invention and that has been assigned to me, that is not valid if it is not in writing. See, most often what happens is, this issue comes between employer and employees. If a company files an application, company is a legal entity, it can't invent on its own, right? Its employees should invent. So employees will invent and company files an application. There is no formal assignment agreement between employees and employer. Company will never have, generally it will take care in employment agreement. Employment agreement, there will be a clause which says that during the course of employment, if you have made some inventions, that is automatically belongs to company, is what the employment agreement says. If there is no employment agreement entered and employee makes an invention and employer files that invention for patent, then if there is no assignment, written assignment, then it is not valid assignment. An assignment of patent or any share in it or a mortgage license or creation of any other interest in the patent shall not be valid unless the same were in writing and the agreement between the parties concerned is reduced in the form of a document embodying all the terms and conditions governing their rights and obligations and duly executed, duly signed. So only that document will be considered. Otherwise, those assignment licenses or mortgage, anything can be not assignable. Even patent can be mortgaged, like any property you mortgage and get a loan from the bank. A patent granted can be kept in the bank and avail a loan. That is what is mortgage means. Then registration of assignments and transmissions, etc. Under section 69, where any person becomes entitled by assignment, transmission, or operation of law. Assignment is I am assigning my rights to somebody else. That is assignment by an agreement. Transmission means how does transmission happens? Transmission is transmitted to one person to other person, father to son, like that. So that is transmission, inheritance rather. Legal heir is what we call. And then operation by law. What is meant by operation by law? Operation of law is you are due to me 100 rupees, but you are not paying me. I go to the court. I file a case against you. You are owner of a patent. Court says that transfer that patent to Mr. Vijay Kumar because you are not paying him that money. So that is operation by law. So the court directing him to give it, that is operation by law to a patent or a share in a patent. Not sometimes it is complete patent. Suppose there are 3 kids to a father and father is the patent owner. Then father dies. After death of the father, who should be the owner of the patent? There are 3 kids, right? So all the 3 kids becomes the owner. So all the 3 kids, can they all 3 be called full owners? They will be shared. There will be 3 parts that will be divided into 3 parts, and each kid will be a part of the owner. He becomes entitled to part of the owner. And that need to be as a mortgagee, licensee, or otherwise to any interest in the patent, he shall apply in writing in prescribed manner to the controller for the registration of his title, as the case may be, and notice of his interest in the register. What is the form that need to be filled in?
Form 16, I guess, sir. Form 16.
Can we look at the forms?
Form 16 is for application for registration of the title, interest in the patent.
Exactly. So that is what you need to look at. We'll come back to the provision. Without prejudice to the provisions of subsection 1, an application for registration of title of any person becoming entitled by assignment to a patent or a share in the patent becoming entitled by virtue of mortgage, license, or other instrument to any other interest in a patent may be made in a prescribed manner by assigner, mortgager, licensor, or other party to the instrument, as the case may be. The person who has got an assignment, he can file it, file an application for registration. When an application is made under this section for the registration of title of any person, the controller shall, upon proof of his title to his satisfaction, where the person is entitled for patent share in the patent, register him as in the register as proprietor or co-proprietor of the patent, and enter the register particulars of instrument or even by which or event by which he deserves the title. Where the person is entitled to any other interest in the patent, enter the register notice of his interest with the particulars of instrument, if any, carrying it. Provided that if there is any dispute between the parties, whether the assignment, mortgage, license, transmission, operation of law, or any other such transaction has validly vested in such person title to the patent or any share or interest therein, the controller may refuse to take any action under clause A or, as the case may be, under clause B until the rights of the parties are determined by the competent court. If there is a dispute, he need to stop, he need to wait for the court to decide, and after court decides, he can record it. So that's about recording the assignment and transmissions. Power of registered grantee or proprietor to deal with the patent, section 70. This is important, section 70. It is a power of grantee or proprietor to deal with the patent, subject to the provisions contained in the act relating to the co-ownership of the patent, and subject also to any rights vested in any other person of the which notice is entered in the register. The person or persons registered as grantee of the proprietor of the patent shall have power to assign, grant license under, or otherwise deal with the patent to give actual receipts of the consideration for such assignment, license, or dealing. So whatever they need to do under section 48, whatever rights have been given, that can be exercised, the power is given under section 70. Provided that any equity in respect of the patent may be enforced in like manner as in respect of any other movable property. If something is, it is enforceable. If somebody is not listening to you, then you can file a case under section 70. It is saying equity in respect of the patent may be enforced. Enforced means filed a case in the court in like manner in respect of any other mobile property. Like mobile property, however, if your car is stolen, how do you deal with it? The same way, if your patent the invention has been misused by somebody else, you can deal with the same way.
What come under infringement?
That is what I'm saying. Infringement, infringement not as an immovable property. There are two kinds of infringements. Movable property enforcement is of two kinds. One is enforcement for immovable property, other is enforcement for mobile property. So you are under section 70, it is very clearly saying that patent enforcement is like a mobile property, not as unmovable property. Then rectification of register by appellate board under section 71. The appellate board may, on application of any person aggrieved by the absence or omission from the registry of any entry, by any entry made in the register without sufficient cause, or by any entry wrongfully remaining on the register, or by any error or defect in any entry in the register, make such order for making variation or deletion or any entry therein as it may think fit. So you can directly, this is the appellate board original jurisdiction. It is not appellate jurisdiction. There are two appellate board. Intellectual property appellate board has been constituted in 2003. This appellate board has two kinds of jurisdiction. One is original jurisdiction, the other one is appellate jurisdiction. Appellate jurisdiction is when you go and complain the controller, controller will not listen to you. Controller is not giving a favorable order. Controller does not understand you properly. Then you can go and appeal in the appellate board, a complaining controller that he is not properly appreciating my arguments and all. However, you can directly file with the appellate board certain things like any absence or omission from the register, or any entry made in the register without sufficient cause, or by any entry wrongly remaining in the register, or by error or defect in any entry in the register. All that things you can directly report to the appellate board, and the appellate board, after hearing you, if it thinks fit, causes that making variation or deletion in the register. So the register can be altered by appellate board on a person aggrieved making the application to the appellate board, and subject to hearing and all. The second, third and fourth provisions might say that in any proceedings under this section, the appellate board may decide any question that may be necessary or expedient to decide in connection with the rectification of the register. Notice of any application to the appellate board under this section shall be given in the prescribed manner to the controller, who shall be entitled to appear and heard on the application, and shall appear if so directed by the board. So controller has to appear and say his reasoning why he is not, why it has been wrongly entered, or where mistake has been done. Any order of the appellate board under this section rectifying the register shall direct the notice of rectification shall be served upon the controller in a prescribed manner, who shall upon receipt of such notice rectify the register accordingly. Clause 4 says that all the orders of the appellate board need to be communicated to the register, and register should make the changes. 72, register to be open for inspection. Subject to the provisions contained in the Act, any rules made thereunder, the register shall at all convenient time be open to inspection by public, and certified copies sealed with the seal of Patent Office of any entry in the register shall be given to any person requiring them on payment of the prescribed fee. So anything should be open, register should be open. The register shall be prima facie evidence of any matters required or authorized by or under this Act to be entered therein. So earlier sections, they say that Indian Evidence Act certified copy need to be given, and any entry in the register, that certified copy is the prima facie evidence. If there is a secondary evidence, that is a different, but prima facie evidence will be certified copy. If the record of particular kept in the computer floppy diskettes or electronic form, subsection 1(2) shall be deemed to have been complied with if public is given access to such floppies, diskettes, other electronic forms, or printouts of such records or particulars for inspection. Now, these days, it is online database. Earlier to 2010 or so, it is everything you need to go and ask the controller to provide a copy. But you can now, all the document, it has been made transparent. Whatever you file in the Patent Office, whatever Patent Office communicate to applicant, everything is kept online database, and once it is published, it is open. Unless it is a provisional application which controller has to keep it secret, all other information is kept open in the online database. You can go through the online database. Then section 73, controller and other offices, Patent Office and this is a new chapter. Until 72, it is Register of Patents. From 73, it is controller and other offices, Patent Office and establishments. Who is controller? How controller need to be established?